To yet another episode of the Strong Feels Good podcast. And today we're going to talk about what people ask me about all the time, which is how I got through 2 ACL tears and came out stronger than ever. And let me tell you, it seems like it's an easy thing to do, right? And maybe you don't see the full backstory, but we're going to go through everything that I went through from my first ACL to my second ACL and all the things that I learned along the way that allowed me to come out of that opportunity. Oh, did you hear that? I called it an opportunity. Yes, come out of that opportunity and learn and be stronger, right? Because a lot of times people take that your defeat that you have and you look at it as a bad thing. But what if it's an opportunity to become better? So let's get right into it. So when I first tore my ACL, I tore it in college gymnastics. So before that time, I had never been injured in my entire life, and gymnastics was my life. Gymnastics was everything to me. Everything I did always revolved around gymnastics. Never been injured, maybe had like a sprained ankle or something like that, but nothing ever super major. So when I did tear my ACL, it was kind of it's shocker. And don't mind, you're going to hear a cat in the background because I'm babysitting this kitten and she's just out of control. Anyways, so how did it happen? Basically, I was at a college gymnastics practice and I was working on something called a double full. So that's a double twisting backflip in the air. And I was going over and over again. I was trying to add a new piece to that tumbling pass. I was trying to add a front flip into that. So I'm just going to put it in layman's terms. So I was practicing over and over again. I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't do it. It wasn't really coming together. And instead of stopping and telling myself, you know what, maybe it'd be better if I took a breather from this right now, I kept going and I kind of started getting angry about it, angry and just in my head. And it was a great lesson that sometimes your body is telling you no. Sometimes you just got to walk away from something and then come back to it later. But I didn't wind up doing that, right? I kept going over and over again, wind up hurting my right knee first. It was bothering me. I wrapped it up. I was like, oh, it's fine. It's whatever. I kept going until finally I told myself I'm going to do one more. Wow. How many times have you told yourself you're going to do one more? You're just one more time. And that's when everything falls apart. It's exactly what I did. So I told myself I'm going to do one more. Did the final pass, landed on the floor, grabbed my leg, and I was just a mess, crying. It's felt as if my leg had completely just given out on me. So I'm laying there, and again, after having such a frustrating practice and just being emotional and all sorts of different things, it didn't swell up or anything. So, and the trainer did the little test on it, and he's like, all right, you're fine, but you should probably chill out. And of course, I'm like, no, I got to do more. I got to do more. So I actually went to the bars and I started swinging on bars and doing stuff on there because it didn't have to do with my legs. And again, you can just kind of see the person that I was then. I was that person who would not stop, and I was stubborn and I didn't want to listen. And I'm like, no, it was just, yeah, way different time of my life. So anyways, the next morning I woke up and my left leg was completely swollen. Anyways, I woke up and my leg was completely swollen and I was like, oh shit. So had to go to the doctor, get the MRI, do all the stuff, couldn't walk, was on crutches. Didn't really think it was going to be anything until I sat into the doctor's office and he sat down with me. Now this is the doctor of the college. And he said to me, you've torn your ACL, your college career is over. And I'm quoting that here. You tore your ACL, your college career is over. There was no this happens a lot. You can come back, whatever. It was it's over. That's it. This guy had no bedside manner. And I just started crying hysterically. I remember being with my coach and my coach looks at me. He's like, Angela, he's like, this is probably a blessing in disguise. And I'm like, blessing in disguise. I'm like, no freaking way. This is not a blessing in disguise. I now can't do what I love to do anymore. So I was super down in the dumps and I just didn't handle it well. Couldn't really walk, couldn't do half the stuff I wanted to. Started eating, pizza, bad foods, all stuff like that. Started going out and drinking more than normal. Nothing too crazy, but I was definitely more than normal. And I was just really depressed, really, really down on myself. And it took me a while to get out of that. It took me a while to get out of that because it's just kind of why me? Knew I had to go through the surgery. Did not realize that the surgery was going to be really tough. Really, really tough. So do you hear the cat in the background? Didn't realize that the surgery was going to be really tough. So got the surgery. And when I got it, I didn't expect it to be that hard. So, and I wasn't prepared for it at all. They give you a big machine in your bed called a CPM machine. It actually helps you to bend your knee, because you should be bending your knee after the surgery to make sure it doesn't get stiff, and so that you can get that range of motion back. And I had to lay in bed with my foot in that. And change the degrees, all that stuff like that. Couldn't walk. I remember at one point trying to get up and go to the bathroom, which was one of the hardest things. And I just remember crying hysterically because I like collapsed on the floor and I had to like army crawl into the bathroom. And then when I sat to go to the bathroom, I couldn't even hold my leg up because it was in so much pain. So a lot of these things I want to describe to you, like the feeling of how it was, because I just was not expecting it at all. And I was not handling it well. I was just, I was done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. Like, it's awful thoughts coming into my head. Also, it wasn't really great to the people around me. The people who were trying to help me, I was a bitch to, like total bitch to, always, yelling at them, telling me they didn't understand, things like that. You kind of, again, get in your head and you start to attack the people around you. So anyways, that's the first ACL surgery. Not great, not a great attitude. But I did tell myself I wanted to come back to college gymnastics. So I decided to work for that. And it took me a while to get out of my head and finally just hire a trainer. So I hired a trainer. I found him online and I said to him, hey, all I want to do is I want to train everything but my leg so that I can keep myself strong and keep myself sane. Because right now I'm going a bit crazy. And having somebody with that patience and that, okay, cool, let's do this. You can't use your leg right now, but we can sit down and we can do some presses, right? We can do some bicep curls. We can just get some kind of movement. It doesn't have to be excessive. It doesn't have to be crazy, but I'm a big advocate for, when you're injured, obviously your body does need to heal, but there's still ways to get some kind of movement in and have some self-care, especially if that's something that's really, really helps you to de-stress, if it helps you to get out of your head. I mean, those things, this is like more, working out is not just about working out. It is about helping you with the stuff in your head. So I was able to come back to college gymnastics, which is great. Came back, competed a couple of seasons, just still didn't do the way I wanted to. And at one point I actually re-tore my meniscus. So I actually had to go and get another surgery to take my meniscus out. So I actually don't have a meniscus in my left leg. So it was just a whole slew of things. It was just like, oof. So after all of that, right, I wound up getting into fitness competitions, doing stuff like that to try and get my, let my fire back and get me excited about moving again, since I wasn't able to do what I wanted during my college gymnastics career. And the life just kind of went on after that, right? Your knee starts to feel better. You actually sometimes don't even remember that stuff happened to you. Until I, was competing on American Ninja Warrior, and I was the strongest I have ever been in my entire life. I was working with a trainer. I was working on lateral movements, on single leg movements in order to keep my leg nice and strong. And I get on the course. I'm a little cocky. I'm like, I got this. Like, I'm going to crush this. I'm on this obstacle called the wing nuts, where you're swinging side to sides. And I'm like, if I get past this right now, I'm going to be one of the top females. That is so, like, I was thrilled. Like, I worked so hard. I had the training. I did everything until I swung off. I dismounted. I collapsed on the floor on national television. I basically feel like I blacked out during that. And I was crying and holding my leg, and not the left one, the right one. And I remember just feeling so defeated then, going from the high of I'm strong, I got on the show, I'm crushing the course, I'm going to be top female, to I can't walk, I can't do anything, I'm never going to be good enough. What is happening? So it was like right in a small amount of time, everything that I've known, everything that I worked for was gone. And knowing that my body also at that time was becoming my career, right? I was doing a bunch of different things with different magazines. I was, I owned my own gym. Like, how am I gonna, my legs hurt. How am I gonna run my gym and show everyone around me how to work out if I can't even walk? So anyways, went into the emergency room. Nothing against the emergency room, but they were just like, oh, it's probably sprained, you're fine. Like, really, like, again, just like the last ACL tear, but I knew just like the last time, I'm like, this is probably an ACL tear. And I really knew, especially when the next morning I woke up in the hotel room, and whatever you're hearing, there's a cat destroying things in the background. um, I remember waking up in my hotel room, taking a shower and stepping outside. I'd like lift my leg out to get over the tub and my leg collapsed. And I was like, this is an ACL tear. Like I just knew it. Started swelling. I had to go there the next day and watch I had to go, I had to go watch the people who took my spot in finals. And I was upset about that, but I also was like, all right, if there's anybody who took my place to be in finals, there's this amazing girl, McKinley. It was her. I was like, good. You know what? She deserves it. But I was sitting there sad and upset and just like really feeling sorry for myself. Went to the same exact doctor that I was at before. Yes, it was an MRI. Like they were like, yep, it's a torn ACL. And I just like completely melted. And I was like, here we go again. Here we go again. Went home, really felt really sorry for myself, really asked myself, why me? Why me? The person who is really putting in all the work and trying really hard and a really genuine person. Why is this happening to me? And I sat in that. I sat in that for a while. I sat in the why me. I felt really low, really, really low. And I had to try and hide it because being a social media influencer, which is never what I thought I was ever going to be, being a gym owner, you're always that strong one. You're always the one who is lifting people up. So you don't want people to see you when you're down. You don't want people to see you where you're sitting there crying, thinking like, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to do this? How am I going to afford to even do this? What does even get like, it was just so hard. And I felt very, very alone, very, very alone. So I sat in there for a while. I had a few mentors come to me, and one of the mentors said to me, you know, it's okay if you're feeling down on yourself. It's okay. Feel it. You need to feel it. You need to feel what you're feeling right now, but do not get stuck there. Do not get stuck there. And that was a major, major thing that someone had told me. Don't get stuck there. And I kept hearing that in my head over and over again. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. So I decided to take my mindset real seriously. I decided that I'm going to start to journal every single day, that I was going to record my entire process, that I was going to show, I was going to take this, you know, this horrible thing and take this injury and turn it into an opportunity to become stronger. And not only that, to show others that when they're down in the dumps too, when life happens, if you get in a car accident, you lose your job, that you can come out of it stronger if you shift your perspective. Obviously not an easy thing to do. So I started journaling. When I got my surgery, after my surgery, I started posting videos of me working out with my leg, single leg, full brace on, doing pull-ups with my brace on, like still moving, smiling. And again, trying to even convince myself that I was going to come out stronger from this. And by doing that, I remember putting up the one video of me hanging in a bar, flipping a crutch up and down. By doing that, I had so many people reach out to me and said, because of you, I did not give up. And that's when it's clicked to me right there. It clicked to me. This situation was not about me. It wasn't about me. It was bigger than me. It was much, much bigger. And that's when everything changed for me, when I realized it wasn't about me and I shifted my perspective. So I went into it every single day being like, I'm going to come back to American Ninja Warrior. I'm going to come back to season 11 and I'm going to crush that course. I'm going to show that old, that doctor who told me my college career was over. I'm going to show the people who are like, are you sure you want to do that again? I'm going to show them, and I'm going to show and prove to myself that I can use this as an opportunity to come out stronger. So I trained, 3 days a week with my physical therapist, worked really, really hard. At that point, actually, I decided to shut down my gym. And that's a whole other mindset thing that happened when I shut down my gym, because I knew for a while that I wasn't happy just being there. And I was always like wanting to rip out my hair, running a business. Like I loved coaching. I loved the people, but all the other stuff was just making me so unhappy. And by tearing my ACL was finally that message I need to be like, you only live once, you are young, and you can do whatever you want. And if this is not making you happy right now, it is okay to switch. So shut down the gym, which is a whole thing, and moved to New York City and met an amazing physical therapist, Carrie. She's absolutely amazing. 3 days a week, I was going to her, and I was always in there. And I had the high and low moments in there. Like there was days where I wanted to cry. There was days where my leg wouldn't move. I couldn't get my leg straight. At one point, I actually got a blood clot. I got a full blood clot. So I was like taking the blood thinners, and my nose was bleeding all the time. And all this while trying to run a business, keep myself going. And there's just so much that like was in this, but I told myself, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. This is my mission. And I had that goal that I was going to come back and make it to finals again. I was going to do it. There was no questioning. So anyways, did all of that, then did get back on the season for season 11 and get there. And I remember sitting right before I went up for that run and just being like, this is different. This is a different feeling. I remember sitting there and being like, I'm so grateful for my body. Like, I'm so grateful. No matter what happened, when I was sitting before I went, I was like, I won. If I don't make it to finals, it's fine at this point. So my mindset really shifted. I'm like, I won because I made it here. I made it back here. I came here. And along the way, I inspired others. I remember getting up to that course, walked up. I slowly took off my brace. I chucked it. And I was like, let's freaking go. Let's go. And I just enjoyed every moment. You might have seen, if you've seen it on TV, you've seen me smiling. You saw me and that was all such genuine moments. I was crying almost every time I landed. I was like, wow, like I made it here. I did it. And I somehow made it to finals again. Like so wild. Such an inspiring story for myself, for some story for other people to see. Like, wow, she came back and she did this 11 months later. She got herself out of that hole. And along the way, I learned so much, and I needed that experience to have the life that I have right now. I needed that experience to teach me that, hey, mindset's really important. You need to journal. You need to take care of the shit going on in your head. I needed that, you know what, like things are going to happen. Life's going to happen. It's going to be out of your control, but what can you control? How can you control this? What can you do? You can show up. You can continue to show up. You can, half the time that I was doing all this stuff, I didn't fully believe in myself. I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to do this. If I was actually going to pull this off, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go into it and I'm just going to try. And that's all you can do, right? That's all you can do is go in and try, shift your perspective. And I just think that if you're going through an injury right now, if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through things right now, try and use that as an opportunity. There's a reason that it's happening. I really, truly believe that. I know it sounds super woo-woo and whatever, but I truly believe that it would have been easy if I went on that course the first time and I just made it to finals and I never tore my ACL. That would have been easy. That would have been like, okay, whatever. What would I have learned from that? What would I have learned? I wouldn't have learned this stuff about myself. I wouldn't have learned how to do this mindset stuff. I wouldn't have finally quit the gym. Like there's so many things that you realize happens because of some of these hardships that happen in your life, and you become grateful for it later on. So even if you're in a hardship right now, ask yourself, what am I learning from this right now? That's going to really change the way you feel about it. Okay. I promise you. So if you're going through an ACL situation right now, I want to encourage you. It's not going to be easy, but I want to encourage you to make sure that you're sitting down, that you're journaling, you're writing out your experience, you're taking the moment to breathe, and also knowing that you can still move your body and you can still do things. It might just be in a little bit of a different way for a little while. That's all. It might be in just a little bit of a different way. And you might go over a little roadblocks. You might get a blood clot. This might happen. That might happen. It's okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to make it out on the other side. I still can't believe right now to this day that just a couple of weeks ago, I ran a high rocks competition, which is basically like a Spartan race. I never thought my knee would work like that ever again. I never thought it would. And it did. All right. It just, you don't see it right now, maybe. But yeah. So use your injury as an opportunity. Use it. Use your hardships as an opportunity. Shift your perspective. Okay. See, what am I learning from this? Instead of saying, why me? Be like, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, even with the kitty cat running around and some other random things. And if you have anything or any questions that you have about my ACL journey, or if this inspired you, I would love for you to share it and send me a message. And I hope that the Strong Feels Good podcast is helping you create a better mindset, create a better, better habits, and having you help you live the life that you've always wanted. So I'll see you guys all later.